Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Board with Each Other Bitesize, the spin-off podcast from Board with Each Other that looks at lighter, smaller games and expansions in a much more compact format compared to our usual monthly deep dive reviews. Today, we are looking at Sea Salt and Paper.
Do you want to introduce me?
I am joined, as ever, by my co-host, my player two, my lovely wife, Hannah Kelly.
Oh, hey!
Nice. So, Sea Salt and Paper is a single deck card game. Fits in a very, very small box. And the basic premise of the game is that you are collecting sets of various marine-related origami things. So, for example, fish. Oh, yes, crabs too, Hannah. She's just making frantic crab motions at me, which were represented in a beautiful origami style, which I first thought were drawings or digital art, but are actually photographs, which is,
Hey.
which is absolutely astounding. Really, really cool. The aim of each round of the game is to be the first player to get 7 or more points. And those points are either out on the table, where you put down pairs from your hand to take an effect. So, for example, if you put down 2 boats, you take another turn immediately. If you put down 2 fish, you draw the top card from the deck, etc., etc. And the cards within your hand. So you don't have to put things down, you can keep them hidden. When you've reached 7 or more points, and that's the sort of tactical key here, you can either say stop, at which point play stops and all players count all the points they have out on the table and in their hand and get those points. Or you can say last chance, in which case the other player or players get another turn, and then you show your hands. If the person that called last chance wins, they get all of their points plus points for the most common color. All the cards are color coded. The most common color that they have out. The other players just get the color. The color bonus is called. They don't get their points. So, and vice versa. If you lose the bet, the other players get all their points, and you just get your color bonus. So it's a bit of a gamble, but it's how you sort of stretch into the lead. To win the game depends on how many players you're playing with. At 2 players, you need to reach 40 points, which usually goes roughly for 4 rounds, if you will. The game starts without any cards in your hand whatsoever. You have a deck out in the middle of the table, and you have 2 discard piles. When you take a turn, you draw either 2 cards from the deck and discard one to a discard pile of your choice, or you can take a card, the top card from one of the discard piles.
Mm-hmm.
So far, so gin rummy, basically.
Yeah.
The other secret sauce within this game is there are 4 mermaids within the deck. Mermaids on their own give you a color bonus when you score them. So you get the number of points of your most common color. If you have multiple ones, then that goes down, your second most common color, etc. But if at any point you manage to accumulate all 4 mermaids, you win the game entirely. So regardless of where the scores are at, the game is over and you win. And that is pretty much all there is to Sea Salt and Paper. Very, very easy to pick up, very easy to learn.
Yeah. What I want to say straight out the bat is this is probably the most beautiful game I think I've come across.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
the
stunning.
artwork is stunning.
Yeah.
So everything is, think about your typical pastel beach hut kind of colour scheme,
Yeah.
but it's still really vibrant. The origami pictures on it are absolutely breathtaking.
Mhm.
It's just really beautiful.
Yeah, no, I have to agree. Art style wise, it is utterly unique and it looks stunning.
Yeah.
And I was literally bowled over when I found out that there were photographs. I was like, I cannot believe that they've
Yeah.
actually done these.
And it's not gimmicky at all.
No.
It's just really, really pretty and
Yeah.
really, really lovely to play. And I really enjoy looking at my cards.
Yes, indeed.
But also on that note, the box doesn't have a divot.
Oh God, yes. Yeah, such a small thing, but the box is a massive pain in the ass.
You have to sit there and shake it to
Yeah,
get it open.
it's really tight and it's really difficult to get open.
Divot, guys.
Divot, serpentine. Yeah, it's such a minor thing, but I really hope in
In
future
future
editions they
editions,
put a
yeah.
little divot on the box because it's a real pain.
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
But yeah, in terms of the package, then no complaints aside from seeing the divot.
Yeah. So yeah, the core gameplay. This is a classic example of very easy to pick up, very hard to master.
Mhm. Well, you say that, but yet our 6-year-old kicks our ass every single time.
Yeah, she does.
It's not difficult to master. We're stupid.
Master does quicker than us. But yes, kids can play it. absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
But there is a really impressive tactical depth to this game.
Hmm.
But which even after over 10 games of it, I don't think I've begun to scratch
Right.
the surface of. It's one of those forever games that I
Hmm.
think you could just keep going back to.
Hmm.
It's reasonably quick, probably about 20 minutes ish, I'd say.
Yeah.
And I've never had a bad time.
No.
Never ever had a bad time. It is just a joy to play.
I think what's really lovely about it as well is there's a real flow and a dance. So you don't have to talk. There isn't necessarily a huge amount of interaction, but yet actually there's a lot of trash talk in this.
Oh, yes, there can be. And when you get a shark and a swimmer, you get to nick one of your opponent's cards.
Yeah.
And I managed to make Hannah the angriest I've made her outside of Scythe in this game, which I love.
You stole my mermaid.
Yeah.
I'm never going to forgive you, sir.
Yeah. Again, it's that lovely bit of interactivity
Yeah.
spice on top where you can nick other people's cards, which I love. I think
Yeah.
that's brilliant, and you can completely wreck their turn.
Yeah. But there is this lovely flow and a lovely dance to it. I
Mm.
think it's just got a really nice rhythm to it.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
And turns are really quick. And I think because you're constantly changing your playing cards, so you're playing pairs and suites to be able to get like
Mm.
different, to take additional turns and things like that. There's no, there's no analysis paralysis. There's no thinking.
No,
It's just
it's
quite
so done.
reactionary. But also, it's not because you have to be
Mm.
really strategic about what you're doing. You have to think about it. Whether you're going to build this set. Oh, look, you're not collecting those. Maybe I should switch
Yeah.
and start collecting them. Oh no, you've got the same idea as me, and those cards
Or
haven't
you can
come up.
start bluffing. You can start
Yeah,
pretending to collect things that you're
yeah.
not. There's just so much there.
Mhm.
There's the whole mechanic about when you call a stop to things.
Yeah.
There's the gambling tickles a reptilian part of my brain to it, where I'm like, do I push further? Do you call stop or do you call last
Yeah.
chance?
You also have some quite powerful cards, I guess. So, for example, there is a card like the ruler of the fish. And so it means that you get additional points for every fish card you have. But sometimes you just want to take those so you stop your opponent from having
Yeah,
them. So,
yeah.
again, it's that kind of.
And sometimes the luck of the draw says no. I know for quite a few times I've taken those and I've just
Mhm.
ended up not seeing a fish for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
You don't know. So there's quite a lot of luck in it to that extent. But yeah, and one of the mechanics that I love is the mermaids
Hmm.
because there is something. It's like getting a royal flush in
Yeah.
poker. Like I haven't seen it happen yet. But
We've come very
we've
close.
come very very
We're
close. But
on tingle.
yeah, we've had 4 out a couple of times, but and I know you've come close a couple. Of, you've
Yeah.
had three. But it's one of those things like, oh, wouldn't that be awesome
Yeah.
to get? So that kind of keeps you coming back to it more and more and more. How do you feel about player counts? Because in an unusual twist for Board with Each Other, we've actually played this as a three quite a lot because we play with our daughter.
I do think it changes the game.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot more luck with more players than
Yes.
there are with two because you obviously can choose where you put your discard.
Yeah.
So it becomes you have to be a lot more strategic about where you're discarding your card and what you
Hmm.
think your opponent's building. So you have to do an awful lot of guessing at what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
That becomes less relevant when you've got three players because
And even less
actually
so at four, I imagine, as
yeah,
much. It's
because
a
the
bit more
board
of a
state changes so
yeah.
quickly that it doesn't become quite so relevant, I don't think.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And as a result, I think it is a slightly better game at two.
Mm,
Um, I don't think it's a bad game at three. I think it's wonderful. Really
mhm.
enjoy it. But I think I think two is the optimum
Yeah.
player count for this because it just makes it a much more strategic affair.
Mhm,
And it's easier to keep tabs on
mhm.
what the other player's doing and
Yeah.
trying to counter them and all that. So I do think it's a better two-player game than it is three.
And also where you discard cards, because again, I've discarded cards specifically to one pile in the hope that I can draw that card again next turn, for example.
Yeah. But
Um,
again, that's where crabs come in. We haven't mentioned crabs yet, but they let you basically look through one of the discard piles and
and take
pull
one.
a card out of there, which can backfire if you haven't been paying attention. You choose the wrong one, which I think we both have on several occasions.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think it is a better two-player game
Yeah, but
overall.
only slightly.
Yeah, only slightly. That is not
Yeah,
this isn't great at three. It's great at three as well, and
absolutely.
probably at four.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't let that put you off. And it's a wonderful coffee shop slash pub game.
Yeah.
Fits in your pocket and you can crack it out anywhere. It doesn't
Yeah.
take much space to play at
Suitable
all.
for all age ranges.
Yeah.
Again, once you've explained the core rules, there's no language requirement
Hmm.
for it. Um, yeah, like I say, we play with our 6-year-old, and she's
Yeah.
fine with that. She
Yeah.
grasps the concepts really well. So again, it's a bit generational in terms of its appeal as well. I
Cross
think
generational, yeah.
cross
And
generational.
again, I imagine you could play this with
Granny,
Grandad,
yeah,
who's perhaps played Gin Rummy, and some of the concepts will come back very, very quickly.
yeah,
Well, sort of cross pollinate as such. It's one of those games that feels like it's always been around.
yeah,
That's how you know you've got a classic on your hands because it's that good. It's
yeah.
that good out the gates. I am very curious about the expansion, soon to be expansions.
Hmm.
I am curious because it looks cool, but I'm also slightly trepidatious that it might upset the balance. I don't know because it is such a well-formed game out the box. As such, I worry that adding more to it is going
It's going
to,
to take away from it,
yeah, you're going to add and then subtract as a result,
dilute. Yeah,
dilute. But I don't know. That's just a feeling. I will obviously try it out because I love it. But yeah, the TBC. I'm not sure how that's going to work. It's always a bit of you always have a bit of caution, like messing around with something that's so excellently formed. Think back to Radland, similar kind of thing.
yeah.
You don't want to mess with the delicate balance that's there.
But I think this should be an absolute must-have on any wargamer's shelf.
Yes,
And in
go
fact,
go
anyone's shelf, to be
go
honest. I
go
think,
buy this.
yeah,
It's cheap. I think it's retails for about £13.
yeah.
It's an absolute no-brainer if you're into board games.
Mhm,
And again, you could introduce this to most people. So
mhm,
even for those non-capital B board gamers, this would be a real hit.
yeah. So how would you score it then?
9.
Yeah, well, I would also
Yeah,
score it 9.
it's a 9. I
Yeah,
think
it would be a 10
it's
if it had a divot in the box.
yeah. Put it in the box, and yeah, you'll get our first 10, which seems bonkers to me in a way of such a small, slight thing, but it's so close to perfect that
Mm.
I just wouldn't
It
change
was
much.
so stunningly beautiful,
Yeah,
so beautiful.
yeah, it's an absolute joy. It's an absolute gem, and I think it's going to go down as a classic.
Yeah.
So, thank you for joining us on that quick voyage.
Boom.
Yeah, your night, folks. But if you like what you heard today and want some more deep dive content on deeper and larger games, then our monthly podcast is there for you to explore. But until next time, be good to each other, have fun, and play lots of board games.